Hey, welcome back to our podcast, The Playbook and the Property. Today we have a guest.
Hello, my name is Thomas. Good to meet you.
Yeah, so today our podcast probably gonna have some topics and we're gonna debate, and Steven and Thomas gonna debate.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Yes,
Discussion. Let's not go
indeed.
with debate here. So first, let's introduce Thomas here. Thomas is a esteemed member of the Exponential Real Estate Group. He is our brains of the operation. We call him the tip of our spear here, as in he's any sort of deep-lying data analysis or busy things that we can't figure it out. We throw over to Thomas.
Yes, I'm usually a pretty smart guy, but when this guy's around, I don't mention smart. Yes. Yeah. So today's topic, we actually have.
I don't know. According to my daughter, Daddy is not very smart. So I hope I can revert that trend a little bit.
No, you're smart. Your daughter will realize that soon. So today we have a few interesting topics. We're gonna go over Bitcoin, refugees in Canada. Will the real estate market crash in Vancouver?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that is an
fun
interesting one. And then should we tax people that leave their properties vacant?
Oh.
Yeah, let's start with Bitcoin, cryptos, right? I mean, like the topic was, should we invest in Bitcoin nowadays? And I believe you say no, Thomas, and you
With
say
qualifications.
yes. Okay,
Yes.
and you say yes, right?
Right.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you guys a couple minutes to do your opening and why you say yes or no,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
then we can go on from there. No interrupting, right? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because I think mine is usually typically when Thomas and I discuss subjects, mine is typically the more shallower of the two analysis.
Okay.
So that will give him a chance to go deeper. I have an idea what Thomas will say, so I think I will present the surface level of why I think that we should invest in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has been around for, I wouldn't say a while. In terms of monetary age, it's actually very short.
That's true.
I think a lot of people look at Bitcoin, they think that they've been here forever. Really, they've only been here for at most 16 years now. I think Satoshi Nakamoto invented the thing in 2009, I think.
To be fair, I would say in common knowledge, in the mainstream knowledge, it's been there for a lot less than
A lot less than that. That's right. That's
Probably
right.
10.
Probably 10. If even shorter than that, actually. However, if you look at the valuation of Bitcoin, I think it's gaining public knowledge now. And if you look, my personal perspective is I do not see Bitcoin as a currency. I don't believe that it can ever be a currency. What it will be, we believe, is a storage value. So traditional storage value, you have things like stocks, like funds, savings, GIC. You have gold, which is a very obvious one, a lot of the history that we use, and obviously stocks and mutual funds. That's what you have. In some forms, we also use things like rare art, sports franchises, sports cars, whatnot as it. So we see Bitcoin as a storage value going forward. It is a more portable version of gold.
True.
What Bitcoin really is a ledger. It's a accounting ledger, which is similar to the way that real world currencies are. So if you look at the bill, if you look at the dollar bill, for example, you'll say that it's a banknote. It's actually a piece of debt. In reality, currency systems, and I copied this out of Len Alden's book, Broken Money here, but currency systems really are just accounting ledgers for storage value. And Bitcoin inherently is a ledger. That's what it is. It's an unfudgeable ledger. And from that perspective, we see it as a more portable version of gold. Now, I wouldn't have said this in a few months ago, or a few years ago, because Bitcoin hasn't gone through the ups and downs yet. But I think if you look at the Bitcoin graph, you'll see that it has gone some massive swings up and some massive crashes down. And its ability to survive that from a technical perspective gives it inherent value in terms of people's minds. And that's the reason why. And that's what the reason why I believe that it is.
You should invest in Bitcoin now.
You should, I don't know if you should invest in Bitcoin now,
but you should
invest in Bitcoin as a part of your portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's
So-
start Thomas.
So even though firstly, I actually say, no, you shouldn't be investing in Bitcoin. But I also actually say that with the same qualifier as what Steve is saying. So in some way, in the long term, we actually agree. So yes, I agree that we should be investing in Bitcoin as part of our investing strategy, as part of diversification of our portfolio. My perspective on Bitcoin is slightly different, and the qualifier for when you jump in or whether you jump in at all is slightly different. So a little bit of a story, it may waste a bit of time, is that 15 years ago.
You have 2 minutes, Thomas.
Yes, okay.
15 years. I'm very.
I do mine. So
Very quick story. 15
Okay.
years ago, I was actually more or less right there when Bitcoin was nothing and nobody knew about
Yes.
it. And I was discussing with another engineer friend whether we should build a rig to mine Bitcoin. And at that time, because the technology was so new, we had to invest, I would say, something like about $10,000 to build something that's worthwhile, that will mine somewhat effectively. And if I did that, then by now I wouldn't be here. I would be on a beach somewhere.
thank you for not doing that.
Well, that was my mistake, right? But that illustrates a point. The point is that when you discover an investment, if you think of Bitcoin as a store of value, yes, it is one, and I agree entirely with Steve. But as an investment, if you discover Bitcoin 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, and you got in, you would have made quite a lot of money.
Right.
We all would be.
But you would have taken a significant amount of risk. Right? And the risk for me, 15 years ago, was $10,000 of money and quite a bit of time, because we would be basically figuring out the technology from scratch. We would be like one of the early Bitcoin developers ourselves. Well, we didn't do that, obviously. That being said, so taking it to the present day, so what do I see with Bitcoin? I see that Bitcoin so firstly, there was a period of almost 10 years where it basically went nowhere because nobody knew or cared about it. And then suddenly it blew up quite a lot, right? And so right now, the total market cap around the world of Bitcoin is some astronomical number. I can't quote it off the top of my head. But the amount that is being traded every single day on the market is tiny.
Right.
Yes.
So it's the way you think about it is like if you think about the ocean, and on top of the ocean there are waves. That is the daily trading volume, and every day there's tiny waves. But the ocean is very deep.
Right.
And underneath the ocean, there are early adopters of Bitcoin, the early miners, and there's Satoshi Nakamoto himself, who just by himself owns something like 20% or 12% of the entire market cap of Bitcoin all over the world. So that one holder plus a bunch of early holders together own a massive amount of Bitcoin. So that, like, imagine deep under the sea, instead of sharks, instead of whales, you have Godzillas, you have Cthulhu's, right? So these forces, the moment they move, if they move at all, the moment they just shift their body, the entire thing just collapses. Basically, if you imagine if Satoshi Nakamoto ever sell 1% of his holding, a tiny fraction of his holding, then suddenly you would have the value crash drastically, because not just because of that one trade, but because it shakes the confidence of everyone who is holding at the top, because they now realize that the whales may be moving, the Godzillas may be moving, and the moment another Godzilla starts to move, you get another blip like that. So that will basically just stop people from keep buying and keep adding to that market cap.
Those are good points.
So my point is that let's wait. If you buy now, let's say Bitcoin right now $120,000 Canadian. If I buy now, so would it go to 240,000?
Nobody knows.
It likely will in 5 years, in 10 years. But if it goes to,
Is it guaranteed?
Yes, it is definitely not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It may go down.
Yes.
There may be other things you can invest in.
So are you saying now is a better time to
wait?
Wait now, so use that money to invest in stocks, real estate, and other stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like by the way, I mean, all three of us are realtors, and
Yeah.
part of the reason why I'm a realtor, I have another career too. Like, I make a lot of money in that. But the reason why I'm a realtor is because I believe in real estate. I actually feel that real estate is a vehicle that either it can empower a person who to buy their first home and build up equity and have the freedom of living in their own home, but also it's a great store of value, right? I believe in it. That's why I become a realtor.
Yeah.